All right. I'm live. Man, it's been a while. Um, Welcome to whomever is watching. Beacom here, Taylor Beacom for Beacom of Light. It's been a while, guys. Yeah, man, I've been living life, just doing my thing, learning, growing as a person, trying to get my health on track and stay healthy, exercise a lot. But I wanted to kind of just adjust to sort of what I want to do with my channel and like how I wanted to move forward. And I was watching a comedian that I like a lot named Andrew Schultz. I used to see him in New York when I lived there, and hilarious guy. I'm glad to see him kicking ass. Um, I was watching a TED talk with him. He was talking about how he sort of redefined, like he struggled to get into the stand-up comedy space and, have his career taken to the next level. And he decided, you know what? Instead of trying to sell my special to all these networks, I'm just going to be myself and do my own thing and create my own thing. And I think that's something I was struggling with for a while. Is like, what do I want to do with the channel? Do I want to be one of these YouTube type people who, does all these crazy cuts and, a lot of editing and make it all wild and super fast paced and, try and keep people's attention span, or keep their attention when most people barely have an attention span nowadays. It's like, we have the attention span of a gnat. There's a lot of like jingling keys in front of a baby, cuts and big actions and movements and all this stuff. And I was doing that for a little bit, and I like having energy, and I like watching people who have energy. But like, if it seems inauthentic, people can read that super easily. So I just didn't want to do that anymore, or at least try to do it. So it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, but now I'm thinking I'm just gonna like live stream and just talk and just be myself and not try and acclimate to this whole YouTuber thing. Like, I'm 32 years old. I'm not a 22-year-old or 19-year-old like YouTuber influencer type person. I'll never be that. That's so inauthentic. So I'm just gonna like live stream and talk to people and see if people want to watch. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. So that's what I want to do. Obviously, this whole pandy wandy has impeded me from being able to like get out and do interviews and all that stuff. It's not as easy. I do want to get back into that. But yeah. So what's going on? So there's a couple of people here. Feel free to say hello in the chat and say what's up. Let me know if you guys watched any of the more recent interviews that I did with Will Roosh, Reuters, and Eric's Electrons. Two really cool guys. I'd love to talk to them again. Will's a teacher. He just did an interview with Glenn Beck, I think, which, I'm happy that he's getting more exposure because he says some really great things. Super interesting guy. So definitely go check out those videos if you haven't. Will Roosh, really nice guy. He's like my brother from another mother. Super funny guy as well, and really entertaining. And he grinds, man. Like every day he's on Instagram and he's speaking logic and facts and trying to present things from both sides of the political spectrum and try and use logic and reason. So definitely go check out those videos if you haven't. But speak up in the chat if anyone's here. I want to know how you guys are doing. But yeah, it's been a while. I feel rusty. I feel a little tight, but it's all good. It's a Saturday. It's beautiful. I'm here in sunny Southern California. I know my mom is back in New York, and it's cold as hell there, and people are like freezing to death in Texas. It's like, what's going on, man? It's 65 and sunny here, and I'm super lucky about that. But yeah, man, I wanted to talk to you guys about something I touched on a little bit in 2017. I went to the World's Fair Nano in Brooklyn, which is kind of like a revamping of the World's Fair from the days of old. Back in, I think it started in the 40s or 50s in New York. They did some really, really popular ones in Flushing in New York. There's iconic photos of this giant globe, and it was like cutting edge technology. And back then, I guess it was like microwaves and Corvettes and stuff. But I went to this sort of revamped version of it called the World's Fair Nano in Brooklyn, and went with a buddy, Kayvon, who I did some interviews with. He's Iranian American, and I have videos on my channel with him. Anyway, went to this thing, World's Fair Nano, and got to experience a lot of the latest technology and in augmented reality and virtual reality. That was really cool. Some like electronic skateboards, and that was fun. But I couldn't really wrap my head around cryptocurrency, which was one of the main features and topics at the World's Fair Nano in Brooklyn. I couldn't really wrap my head around it. It was like, wait a minute. Okay, so it's digital currency. I get that. Kind of. It's like tokens and coins. How does that work? So you don't have any physical paper money. How does it work? I don't get it. It's like a credit card. What is it? It's a debit card. And I was listening to, I think some of the developers of Ethereum, which is the world's second biggest cryptocurrency, when I was there, and I sort of understood the idea of it, but I didn't understand the blockchain. I didn't understand what it's supposed to do. And more recently, I've gotten into it monetarily. I've invested in it. Not a lot, but some. And it's doing well so far. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about that a little bit and see if anyone's interested in it. And if anyone's invested in it, let me know. If you guys have any coins or tokens that you think people should watch out for. But there's a lot more applications. So essentially, all these things like Bitcoin, the number one in the world, is based on, it's built on what's called a blockchain, which is essentially just like a ledger, a digital ledger. So there's a bunch of different unique, I guess they're called hashes, that sort of encode information. It's all encrypted and everything. And all of these, all the information in the blockchain is all essentially stored and verified between thousands or millions of nodes or people like Bitcoin miners. Maybe you've heard of that. And I find it really interesting, the idea of decentralization. So with fiat currencies like the US dollar and other sort of state or government controlled currencies, they're centralized. So they're controlled and can be manipulated by banks. Here in the United States, the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal Reserve. And what's been happening in the United States recently is that so we used to be on the gold standard, meaning all of our dollars were sort of backed up by gold, right? So if, I don't know, if all the paper money got burned, we'd have it sort of essentially insured by gold. Nixon took us off the gold standard in the 70s, I believe. And ever since then, the Federal Reserve has slowly and more recently, very quickly, been printing money that's not backed by anything. And it creates an inflationary asset. And I'm not an economist. I don't claim to know all this stuff, but I have a tenuous grasp on the basic idea of it. One statistic I heard recently is that I think 15 to 25% of all of the dollars in circulation were printed in the last year or 10 years or something. Whatever it is, it's insane. And what that does is when something becomes less scarce, it becomes less valuable. It's like McDonald's. You can go and get a burger for $1 there because there's millions of them everywhere, and it's less scarce. Digital currency is kind of the opposite, or at least with Bitcoin. There's a fixed amount. So Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever that is, it's the pen name of the author, who is still yet to be revealed. A lot of people think he's Elon Musk, and there's some speculation, but no one really knows. Satoshi Nakamoto, back in I think 2008 or 2009, wrote this code called the blockchain. I'm probably screwing the technicalities of it up, but he wrote all this stuff, and there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin, and there always will be. So that was implemented into the code, and it's essentially unalterable. That makes it scarce. So the more people buy it, the less there is available. A lot of people are calling it digital gold. There's actually a book called Digital Gold that I read recently by this guy, Nathaniel Popper, which is really interesting if you want to learn about the history of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular, what it is, why it's important, and the history of it. And the book does a good job of kind of spelling out what it is exactly in layman's terms. Really fascinating. The more money our government prints, the less valuable our dollar is, and the more inflationary it is. Cryptocurrency, at least Bitcoin, is a deflationary asset. I've recently started investing in it. It's paying off, and I suggest you do too, because the more global our world becomes, and the more the globalists, to use Alex Jones's favorite word, start expanding, the less valuable our domestic currencies are going to be. And I find it quite fascinating. There's a lot of different applications. I've been listening to a guy named Charles Hoskinson a lot recently, who's really interesting. He's a mathematician who helped co-found Ethereum, which is the world's second biggest cryptocurrency. He has a cryptocurrency called Cardano out right now, which I find fascinating. And he projects that it'll be the most decentralized cryptocurrency in the world, and something like 100 or 10,000 times more decentralized than Ethereum, and maybe even Bitcoin. So definitely check that out. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's really interesting. He does these just live Ask Me Anything videos. So definitely check that out. But yeah, man, I just wanted to get back on here and say what's up and tell you guys what I've been thinking. And cryptocurrency has been super interesting to me as of late, and all I've been doing is like learning about it and all the different applications, the blockchain, smart contracts, proof of stake, proof of work, all these different applications for cryptocurrency. And there's a video I recommend by the same guy, Charles Hoskinson, that I just mentioned. He did a TEDx talk in Bermuda, I think something like 6 years ago. Actually just watched it this morning, where he talks about how cryptocurrency can be applied to third world countries like Afghanistan or Ethiopia, wherever, to essentially kind of pull many people out of a terrible, shitty economy and give them, say, deeds to land, or just a ledger and an account of banking. And for example, in Ethiopia, and I think Cardano is actually working on some sort of contract with Ethiopia where they may actually implement their cryptocurrencies there. Ethiopia, to my knowledge, their money is so inflated where the paper money is actually it might even be worth less than the actual paper itself. I know this is the case in Venezuela and a lot of other socialist countries that have just inflated their dollars like crazy, or their currencies. So check out that video with Charles Hoskinson, TEDx talk. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. He has a channel. Definitely check that out, and consider investing, because it seems intense and very ethereal, like Ethereum. It seems very, it's a strange concept, right? Because it's like, oh, well, no, there's no paper money. And then you start learning about how to store it on digital wallets, or there's cold storage, there's hot storage, there's a bunch of different ways to store the cryptocurrency. You're completely responsible for it, essentially. So it uses encryption, which is why it's called cryptocurrency. So there's a public key and a private key. And the private key, there you have a wallet address, so you can have cryptocurrency deposited into your wallet. Either you buy it on an exchange and then you deposit it into your own wallet, or someone can send it to you into your own wallet address, which is just a unique series of numbers and letters. But then you have a private key to access your cryptocurrency and sell it and make decisions with it, whatever. And that gives you the ownership. If someone takes your private key, it's gone. So this is where the strangeness comes in, right? You're completely responsible for your own cryptocurrency, which in my opinion is kind of exciting, because going to a bank and standing in line, I mean, that's boring. Like, people go into banks and they have your money and you have to ask them if you can have it. and sometimes they deny you. You have to, deposit and wait online with all these other people. If you want to send money via bank or wire transfer, something that the charges are, 1%, 5%, all these things. Cryptocurrency is like liberating, man, because you own it and no one can mess with it unless someone takes your private key, which makes you super, which makes you feel a sense of responsibility, unlike any other. Whereas banks insure your money sometimes, or sometimes they'll lose it, or sometimes they're hacked and blah blah blah. But you have ownership over it, and the only people that can change the system that it lies in is if a truly democratic amount of miners or people running these hash programs or whatever nodes on the entire network make a decision and vote to change something. Pretty exciting, as opposed to a group of bankers on Wall Street that sit inside, sitting around a round table about to get in their Bentleys and go home to their mega mansions. That those 10 people get to decide the future of your money, essentially. So anyway, cool. Hey, we got someone in the chat. What's up, Maddie? Bitcoin transaction fee is like $8. Yeah, so it depends. Are you talking about on exchanges if you want to buy it, or are you just talking about sending it? So Ethereum, for example, right now is facing a lot of issues because they have something called gas fees, where if you want to send or receive their currency, you're going to be paying a pretty high amount. So some like transaction fees or gas fees, as they call it, have been up to like $100 and $150 for almost any transaction. Cardano, developed by Charles Hoskinson, who was also a developer on Ethereum, is claiming to solve that problem. And I think there's already quite a bit of proof of that, where I think they in the early stages of Ethereum, at least, before Ethereum started facing these problems, Cardano or Ethereum they were able to do like, I don't know, hundreds of millions of dollars of transactions with like $350 worth of total fees. So definitely look into Cardano, because I think they have a contract coming up with Ethiopia where they're going to essentially adopt 5 million Ethiopians into the Cardano ecosystem. So the price will definitely go up there. Yeah. So Maddie says also Bitcoin is 100% trackable. Right. So the cool thing about it can be good and bad depending on how you look at it. I think it's mostly good. It's Bitcoin, for example, is completely transparent. So I physically right now on my computer could download the Bitcoin ledger, the entire blockchain. I probably don't, considering it's been around for 12 years now, and there's been probably trillions and trillions and trillions of transactions. I don't think I have enough computing storage to be able to download the entire blockchain. But yes, it is 100% trackable. So you can go to different websites that store the whole blockchain on their servers, and you can actually look up individual transactions, which could be good and bad. But then Maddie says Monero, which is a different cryptocurrency, which is a privacy coin, it's not trackable. So I guess there's different like use cases and applications for each one. I'm really interested in Cardano at the moment. That's probably my number 3, as opposed to Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's a lot of what are called shit coins as well. So there's something like 8,000 cryptocurrencies out there now. I would say probably 98% of them are shit coins, which are just not going to go anywhere. A lot of them are just made by, jokers and stuff that are, it's like a fun side project sort of thing. Like, oh, let's just throw this up there and see if we can make some quick money, but they don't actually have any applications. Maddie, what you're saying, Monero, for example, does have an application because it is a privacy coin. So if for some reason you want to make sure that your transactions are not recorded or shown or traceable, you would use that. Ethereum is different than Bitcoin in that it enables smart contracts. This is the stuff I'm still learning about. I still don't really know all the details, and I think it would help if I don't know, was smarter and had a mathematics degree or some sort of engineering degree. But yeah, it's definitely it's definitely the way of the future. It's really interesting. I mean, Tesla just bought $1.5 billion in Bitcoin. So that, and as we all know, Elon Musk is ahead of the curve. Pretty smart guy. So it's time to get on board. I feel like, and according to a lot of technical analysis videos that I've watched, we're still really at the early stages. So there's a potential where if you're to invest now, and obviously this isn't financial advice, but if you're able to invest 1% of your net worth into some sort of cryptocurrency, I'd probably recommend Bitcoin or Ethereum. Not financial advice, but you may see that money do 5, 10, 100x in the next 5 to 10 years. Whereas if you put a bunch of money in a savings account, you're going to get 0.2% APY, annual percentage yield. What's the point in that? Or the stock market, S&P 500, you're going to get nothing. You're going to get, 2%, 10% a year, which is great. But why wouldn't you rather potentially get a 20x or 30x or something that, really is quickly, like, the US dollar is just inflationary. It's just inflationary. So I would definitely look into that and check that out if I were you. Tesla puts in $1.5 billion. Apple is reportedly geared up to put in $5 billion. There's companies like MicroStrategy. This guy, Michael Saylor, I've been listening to a little bit. They put in 1.5 billion or something. It's the way of the future. A lot of banks are adopting it now, or at least using it as a reserve asset. So JP Morgan, I think, publicly stated 3-4 years ago, like, oh no, cryptocurrency, it's not our thing. We're not going to get into it. Now they're on board. Now they're like, oh yeah, we're going to start investing. Visa, MasterCard is set to start allowing vendors to receive payments in cryptocurrency. So not just like, for example, there's crypto.com, which allows you to have a debit card, but you're still so basically you can deposit your cryptocurrency into your crypto.com account, right, on your app or whatever. Then you can convert your cryptocurrency to US dollars directly and have the card, cryptocurrency.com card, to then use it. It's a Visa card to spend it somewhere. MasterCard, I believe, is going to start allowing direct payments with cryptocurrency. So you're not even converting it to US dollars. And same with Tesla. This is the way of the future, man. I remember being interested in it, not being able to wrap my head around it 4 years ago. I think we can all remember, hearing about Bitcoin however long ago and not knowing what the hell to think about it. Maybe thinking it was a joke. I mean, Bitcoin is now around $57,000 per coin, and you don't have to buy a whole coin, by the way, if you don't know. But can you imagine getting into it when it was $10? Buying 1,000 of them. I mean, this is something called FOMO, fear of missing out. So you definitely don't want to, shoulda, woulda, coulda, relish in the past. Think about the future. It's really interesting. So check out that Charles Hoskinson video where he did a TEDx talk about 6 years ago. I think it's called "The Future Will Be Decentralized." Really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to hop on here. I'm a little rusty. Just wanted to hop on and chat and say what's up to everybody and say I'm going to just fuck it. I'm just going to do these live streams and just talk about random shit and see if people want to watch. But stay tuned. I love you guys very much. Beacom out.